Hi there, welcome back to my channel. It's James here. I hope you're doing okay. Slightly different location today, and no surprises. What is this video about? It's going to be about my grow tents. Two grow tents. Well, one currently, because this small one, as you can see here, is kind of out of action because the light broke. I talk about this when I'm going around this larger grow tent. So I got in touch with MarsHydro, the company, and they sent me a larger light, TS2000, to replace the TS1000 that was malfunctioning. Hopefully I can still get it to work. I'm going to try and fix it. And they also sent me this larger grow tent, which is basically taking up this entire room, which is nice. I thought it was going to be the 150 by 150, but it's actually the 120 by 120, which is still plenty big enough for what I'm using it for at the moment. But it's really nice to have a little bit more space, and if I can get the smaller one up and running as well, it'll be fantastic because I'll be able to like have a little bit of quarantine space as well. But it's meant that I've been able to dismantle the hideous plastic greenhouse that I've had for a long time and move everything into this larger grow tent, which is fantastic. So I've currently been using the MarsHydro grow tents for a while, for probably about 5 months, more or less, give or take a tiny bit. And so far amazing. The grow tent itself, this actual construct is fantastic. The inside is lined with a reflective material so that the light intensity is a little bit more sort of well-rounded. You don't have, it kind of diffuses it a little bit better, so all plants get slightly more light. It actually insulates surprisingly well. So the difference in temperature between here and outside currently is about 3 to 4 degrees, which is significant during winter, even without any heating or anything. I do actually have now a heat mat underneath the base of the tent, but that's only been for the last couple of days. So that's brilliant. It holds warmth really well. The light is fantastic. Obviously the humidity is really great. You do not really need a humidifier for these unless you have very, very high humidity loving plants. So for aroids and Hoya and stuff like that, it's perfect. You don't need any kind of humidity. I do sometimes put my Levoit humidifier in there just to give it like a little bit of a, more for me than for the plants, honestly, so I can look in and see like this cloud forest. Yeah, nothing really more to say. I think it's an amazing, obviously there are other brands out there that have similar products, similar grow tents, similar grow lights, so if you want to try those, fantastic. But I have not tried any of them, so I can only recommend the ones that I have, which is a MarsHydro tent. So we're going to go over what I have inside, what's happening. As usual, given that it's me, it's going to be a bit of a mess, so forgive me for that. Things will move in and out, and once my smaller grow tent is a little bit is back, I'll be able to put more. So I do have some things in here currently with a different grow light, but not as many as I would if the actual grow light was still working as it should be. Yeah. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, stick them down below. Obviously, I'll have all the links to the grow light and the grow tent in the description, so feel free to go and have a look. They're actually not very expensive compared to some of the others on the market, which is great. I'm kind of tempted to just buy one of the bigger one than this myself, but then I don't have any space for it, so maybe not yet. We'll give it a couple of months. Oh, also I forgot to mention this. This is the t-shirt from Jess. I wore a couple of her t-shirts in a previous video, but this is a really nice one. It's got a bunch of different leaves on it, and I just really like it. So I will link her shop down below as well, so you can have a little look at that if you like. Thank you. So here we are inside the tent. Up there is a massive new grow light. This is the TS2000. I'm not going to stand up because I don't know, there's not much space to stand up. It's a big tent. This is the 120 centimeters by 120, so it's pretty large. I thought it was the 150 that I was getting, but it's not. There's plenty of space. It's 2 meters tall, so I could stand up obviously, but this large light does take up quite a lot of space. This light was sent to me sort of as a semi-replacement because I had the TS1000 in my smaller grow tent, and that was malfunctioning a little bit, so this is a replacement for that, which is super nice of them. And then the tent they sent me as well. So yeah, that's amazing. Really was excited. I was going to buy one anyway, and then they offered to send, so that's fantastic. We're just going to kind of go around my setup. I'll show you a little bit of what's happening. It's super crowded already, obviously, because I have way too many plants. And I'll talk you through all the plants as we go. And it might be quite long because there are a lot of them. So we're going to start in the corner here. I have a humidifier which is off. It's not really working. This is the Elec Holmes one that I got that was sent to me a little while ago. It's good. It's all right. I've had some issues with its humidity level detection. Like it seems like it's not quite detecting what the humidity is, and it doesn't have a setting for just like to turn it on, if that makes sense, to just start putting out mist, because obviously its maximum humidity setting is 90%. Is it? No, it's 80%, and in here it is above 80%, but sometimes I kind of want to flood it with a little bit of mist. It doesn't work for that, which is a shame, so I'll move it out. But I've been using my Louvois. Every couple of days I put it in here and just give it a little bit of a blast. Not that it really needs it, the humidity is super, super high. Like just sitting here at the moment I can feel, oof, it's a little bit clammy, but yeah, it's good. So on top of this humidifier, I have got my Cecestis mirabilis, which is a little bit damaged, but it's still beautiful. Like it's such a gorgeous plant, which is absolutely so happy to be in a nice environment, because it was in my little plastic greenhouse thing for a little while and didn't have any extra grow lights. So coming in here with all this amazing light, it's absolutely loving. Relatively slow growing plant, but not that slow. I've had 5 leaves this year, I think, which is more than I was kind of led to expect with it, so that's good. Then I've got a Philodendron mamei in Leca, just doing okay, struggling a little bit, but there's also a little Hoya cordata there for some reason. But yeah, it's fine. I don't love Leca, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's doing okay. Yeah, it's fine. Then here is a Philodendron majestic propagation, which is doing fine. It's got some roots, it's got a shoot. Then behind that there is a Philodendron white knight, the lower part of my mother plant that I cut recently, and you can see it's got some, can you see? Yeah, got a tiny little new leaf there, and there's another growth point below right there. So it's doing fine. Hopefully I'll get some nice variegation out of it. I've got the rest of the plant elsewhere. And then this is the Philodendron Pink Princess that Jess sent me, which is so lovely. I mean, I know that I'm not a huge fan of pink princesses, but when there's a good one, it is just a lovely plant. Hopefully it doesn't revert like my other one did. Precariously balanced there. We've got a little orchid. Yeah, is that it? Oh no, down here I've got one of my syngoniums, my albo syngoniums. There's another one in the smaller grow tent, but yeah. This was all from a plant, so I've currently got 2 plants of this, but it all came from one plant that fully reverted, and I cut up all the nodes, and almost every single node produced variegated leaves, which I don't understand. Like, why wasn't the plant variegated? Anyway, I'm happy that it is all come back. Look at that, super nice. And I want to get it really big. I'm going to aim for some, if I have space in here, for some more mature foliage, because the mature syngonium leaves are gorgeous. Right, coming up here, oof, I'm going to have to sit up a little bit. So here are some of my Hoya. I did this relatively recently. We did a Hoya video, so I'll just go through it really quickly. At the front, Hoya Callistophila, beautiful, textured, veiny. Right behind that, we've got Hoya Michelle. The size of that leaf, it's incredible. Sorry about the yellow tint to all of this. That's kind of what this grow light does. It will come and go as you move through. Then behind we have Hoya Meredithii with a new leaf there, beautiful. Behind that, we've got Hoya Bella Anika Bois, the Alba Marginata. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Beautiful, growing super well. There's a peduncle on the end of that right there. Love it. And then the Hoya Variegated Compacta, which is these 2 new leaves here have come out in the grow tent, which is nice. Random Monstera Siltepecana, and then a random Maranta Lemon Lime that Rose sent to me. In here we've got a Hoya Carnosa and Hoya Merillii, I think that's the name. Then this, I think I mislabeled this last time. I called it Hoya Fischeriana. I think it is actually Hoya Botanica. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't label it and I've forgotten, but it looks more similar to, I think, to Botanica than Fischeriana. But let me know if you know otherwise. Macrophylla alba marginata, Finlaysonii, which just almost died, Hoya mitrata, Hoya Rinzii Borneo, Wilbur Graves, remember, Cassia petiolata Splash, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's got a gorgeous new leaf there. Hoya obovata Amelia, really pretty new leaves coming out there, super nice. I'm excited for this to get big. Then my Hoya Carnosa Splash, the Hoya Nicholsonii New Guinea Ghost, that's right, which is reaching over there, super nice. In here we've got the Maniparensis variegated and the Hoya Bella variegated, the Lewis Bois, the Kerii Splash, which is getting some new leaves, and then the Macrophylla Pot of Gold, and then a little pot of propagations there with Philodendron Ushanum and some other ones, which are doing fine, as well as a Philodendron Domesticum, I believe. I need to put that Hoya fuawensis in perlite because its roots are getting massive. That's the top shelf, that's the Hoya, breezing through them because we've done that relatively recently. So we come down to shelf number 2 here. Let's start around the back. So I've got 2 Philodendron ilsimanii propagations here, this one and this one. Doing okay, none of the ilsimanii propagations that I have at the moment are particularly variegated, but I've heard, or I understand, that the ilsimanii is a stably variegated plant, hopefully, so I'm pretty confident that variegation will come back in that. When the plant that I cut all of these from, it had loads of non-variegated leaves at the base, and then it turned into super highly variegated leaves. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen with these. In front of it right here, this is a medium variegated, 3 of the little propagations I have. Then there is Hoya Rio, Hoya Philodendron Rio, or Silver Stripe. I don't know which one it is. I think it's Philodendron Rio. That's what I got it as. Then a little pot with some Philodendron luxurians propagations, and then right there is a Raphidophora foraminifera, which is this one up here. You see those leaves there? Really lovely Raphi. Get some lovely perforations in the leaves later on. Then I've got 2 little Florida Beauty propagations, this little one, which is a little bit sun-stressed because it was too high in my previous grow tent, and then this one, which is lovely. Look at the variegation there, super pretty. And then a bunch of little pots of stuff. There's at the end there's my Wendlingeri, which we'll look at again in a second, and there is a Philodendron Strawberry Shake in that little grey pot, which hopefully will grow. Then we've got here my Monstera Adansonii Archipelago, which is not what I expected it to be. I've spoken about this before. It's supposed to have sectoral variegation, or ideally I think it should have sectoral variegation, but it lost all of that. You can see there's only 1 leaf left that has sectoral variegation, and the rest of the plant has kind of acting like a Florida ghost. So it comes through with these creamy whitey leaves, and over time they go through white to mint, and that's kind of the end leaf colour. It's super pretty. I hope I can get it to grow relatively large. All of the other ones I've seen like this have stayed quite small, but I'm thinking with the right amount of light, humidity and support, it should still be able to get quite big. Then I have some Anthurium seeds. I've got some Magnificum and Ace of Spade hybrids that I got from Belle Plantatic on Instagram, and then here I've got some Crystallinum crossed with Fugettii, I think, that I got from Steph, the Arrowed House on Instagram. So I'm really excited about that. I love growing Anthurium seeds. I've got quite a few happening. I'll show you. I'll show you in a second. Next to this is one that arrived today, and I'm so excited about it. This is the Philodendron Corsinianum X. So it's a hybrid philodendron. I'm not 100% sure what it was. I did know, but I can't remember. With verrucosum. But yeah, it's super cool. Obviously you can see the verrucosum traits like there, and then to the back of the leaf it's got some lovely red. But I will look into that again because I can't remember off the top of my head. Then we have in here my little obliqua. Let's have a look because we have not checked the obliqua for a little while. Yeah, look at that. Super cute. 2 leaves now, and there is actually, can you see? Yeah, you can just see that petiola sheath where the next leaf is going to come out of, so that's fantastic. And it's just going to stay in here until I get another leaf, until the roots start to take over a little bit more, and then I would transfer it into something else. Another ilsimanii propagation, again not super highly variegated, but really good roots, and I'm pretty confident that it will get, again, more variegation as we go. And then I've got a little terrarium thing that has a bunch of Belmox Fantasy propagations. I think there are 5 Belmox Fantasies in there. And then also you can see those tiny little seedlings. Those are Anthurium warraquianum, so the queen Anthurium seedlings. I think there are also 5 of those. Got some more to the other side here. Yeah, really, really nice. So it's just a little propagation vessel. Moving down. So this is kind of where my Anthuriums reside at the moment because it's a little bit darker. I don't want to burn anything, but it does make it a little bit harder to show you. Right here, kind of packed into the corner, is an Anthurium villenorum, which is getting pretty massive. This leaf is distorted because I think of the inflorescences, because it's just put out 2 inflows. Whenever it gets inflorescences, the leaves kind of do this. But that's fine. It's a relatively large plant. It's got some lovely big leaves. Yeah, you can see there, and this is where the inflows were. Then at the back we've got an Anthurium regale, a tiny little battered little plant, which is fine. It looks okay. The roots are super good. It doesn't have any new growth point yet, but that is okay. And then what is here? This is a little bag. Oh yeah, it's got some Philodendron verrucosum or Philodendron pseudoverrucosum. I'm not 100% sure what it is propagating. You can't see. And then it's got some Dischidia and some Hoya propagating in there as well. So yeah. Then we have a teeny tiny little Queen Anthurium there that I grew from a stem cutting of one of my larger plants. And then we've got some slightly sad looking Anthurium seedlings. They're all crystallinum, or crystallinum X, so they might be hybrids. But they all had thrips, sadly. So they're looking a little bit yellow. They no longer have thrips, but it does mean that they are not looking their very best, unfortunately. But that leaf there, here, is new, and there is some new growth in these ones, so hopefully they overcome that little hurdle, fingers crossed. Then moving forward, we have, what do we have? We've got a Papillilaminum hybrid, supposedly. I'm not sure what it's crossed with, probably Magnificum, potentially. We'll see, I don't know, we'll see with more leaves. We've got an Anthurium peltigerum, which is still relatively small, but does have some new growth on the stem there. There's an Anthurium, is it Splendidum, or I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've had this, since I've talked about this even, I think. Or, yeah, I think. It begins with an S. Anyway, I will put it up on screen. An Anthurium forgetii, which is so beautiful. New leaf there, really happy. It's got 4 lovely large leaves sort of spread out throughout this whole place. Doesn't have as much space as it probably could do with, but hopefully it is okay. And then we have a no ID Anthurium that I got from our department, which is lovely. Super cute. This was just last week that I got it. Very velvety and very hard to see. I don't know if you can see it all. No, it's not picking it up, but it literally is glittery. Like, it doesn't show it at all, but the leaf has such like intense glitter. And then there's a Waterburyanum / Warwickwianum hybrid, which has struggled. I've had it for a while, but it has not done super well. But basically because I had it, I kind of lost interest in my velvety Anthurium, and they suffered, and now I love them again, and I'm just trying to like save them all. It happens, interest comes and goes. Then here in this little glass I have Hoya Callistophila that I snapped off. I've got some Syngonium red spot tricolour propagating, which has just started putting out roots, which is amazing. There's a big bit of Philodendron patricii that I propagated because I recently had to repot the whole plant. And then there is Ilsamanii there. This little bit is Ilsamanii, which is growing and rooting, again not highly variegated. So some propagations there. And an Anthurium radicans that I've had for ages and ages and ages and really hasn't done anything. I probably should repot it. It's like 1 leaf every 3 or 4 months. But yeah, it's cute. I like it. Very, very nice textured leaves. Is that everything there on that shelf? I think so. So we're going to move on. Right, so we come to this little corner of the grow tent. I'm probably going to be adding another shelf here. I'll shuffle this shelf back and have another one here because obviously I'm already running out of space. But in that back corner I have a bag with a bunch of different things propagating in it. It's got some Philodendron domesticum variegated, it's got some variegated medium, it's got some Anthurium metallicum, a load of stuff, and it's all doing pretty well just in that Ziploc. Then in the corner we have a Philodendron patricii. This is one of the leaves. This is the base of the plant that I just cut. So you can kind of see the stem there. It's a little bit squished underneath that Ziploc, but hopefully it has really nice roots. So I'm sure it will, well, relatively nice roots for the size of the plant. So we'll do okay. Then next to that we have a variegated domesticum, which for some reason is putting out these really low variegated leaves. This one has a little bit more. But the main plant that I cut up before had super highly variegated leaves, so I'm not sure what's up, but hopefully I'll get a little bit more. This one hanging here, not those roots, that Anthurium leaf there, that's Anthurium lingeri, one of my favourite Anthuriums, super, super nice, velvety, pendant, and it has that corkscrew inflow that everyone has seen. Monstera esqueleto, which is in pon. These are my first trials of pon, which is very exciting. So we'll see how they do. The other one that's in pon there is a Philodendron caramel marble. I made the mistake of trying to propagate my Philodendron caramel marble like half a year ago as part of the trade, maybe a little bit over, and half of it died, another part of it died, and this part almost died and is just starting to come back. So I hope it doesn't die. The pond is kind of my hope for redemption with it. I hope it survives. Then Florida Beauty, just one of the propagations again. Nice big leaf down there that you can see through, and then a slightly smaller one here. And it has got some good new growth, although I snapped one of the other stems, one of the other petioles when I was putting it in. You can see that's so sad, isn't it? I'll take that off in a second. Variegated Billy, really nice. Sort of such a dramatic growth size change, between the leaves each time they come through. It's just such an easy plant, like Philodendron bilietii, every time, yeah, variegated or not, I think they're hardy, easy, lovely plants. Down here we have, oh, it's so crowded already, it's crazy. I basically just moved everything that I have in here, and I have like a few plants outside, some of my larger ones that don't fit in here. This is Philodendron linamii. You can see there's a nice pink cataphyll coming through there. I think it's going to love it in here. Everything is going to love it in here, to be fair. It's high humidity, high light, warm, lovely, basically like a little tropical bubble. I love just sitting in here. Philodendron luxurians. This is a new leaf. I propagated the whole plant, so I have a bunch of like bits of node everywhere. Philodendron upii in leca again because it was struggling. It's doing okay, but I'll probably move it either into pon or into an arid mix at some point if pon works well for me. Behind we have this variegated Ansonii aurea. That leaf, like you can see if I go down here, I've talked about this before, that leaf there, that's what the variegation will turn into over time. It's like the Monstera aurea, it comes through like a green, it's Polaroid variegation, so it gradually shifts through like light green to yellow, and then dark green, well, then deeper yellow, and then finishes sort of a creamy colour. So you can kind of see the progression here. You've got that first one, which is like creamy, this one, which is yellowy, limey, and then this one afterwards, which is still very green, and this latest one here, where you can basically see no variegation yet. I think it has some thrip damage there, which must be from before, because I recently treated everything for thrips with some systemics, so I don't think there is any thrip left. Heterocrospedon philodendron, so nice. This new leaf is about 35 centimeters long, and it is just lovely. It was sort of deep orange red when it came out, which is super nice. Here we have a Monstera Sport, which is like a green variegated Monstera, which is nice. It's got a good bit of growth happening. Can we see through here? Yeah, that thing there is its new leaf coming. Then we have my other Monstera Sport, which is the Monstera Platinum. It's just a, I don't know, I think it's a Thai constellation. We think it's a Thai constellation sport, but it looks super, super different. It's lovely. And again, it's got its new leaf through there. Oh, the variegation is just so weird and cool, isn't it? Nice. Then my favourite, Philodendron bicolor. This leaf is warped because it grew up against the side of the previous growtent. But yeah, that's it. That really rich red cataphyll, the leaves. I just love it so much. Look at that, the colour, and then that deep red behind. Absolutely, this is top Philodendron, I think. It's so nice. Down the front we have a Hoya. This is Hoya, I always forget, the Pretorii, there we go. Again, I showed this in the propagation box last time, and it wasn't happy. It was sort of yellowing leaves, but it's alive. No leaves are falling off, and those blooms there, this inflow is like dramatically larger than it was a couple of days ago. So it is growing, it is happy. It might just be stressed because it's produced a lot of blooms recently. Is that everything here? I think so. So we can move on to this corner. This is an Epipremnum pinnatum albo, so a variegated Epipremnum pinnatum. It's doing okay. Yeah, it's got some nice sort of some mature characteristics coming out through the leaves, although I haven't had it climbing until very recently. It was kind of just draped around my other smaller greenhouse. Supposedly it's climbing up this moss pole, but as you can see it's kind of just attaching to the wall there, which I don't really care about. The stem is gradually getting thicker, so whatever it needs to do to grow, that's fine. Then we have a Patricii propagation that I've put in moss. Again, you can see some quite significant thrip damage. Someone mentioned in a video that they thought it was thrip damage on this Patricii. The problem with this plant is that I have never found thrips on it, and I have looked super, super closely. But it is the only thing that I can explain this as, because I've had thrips on other plants. I found them and I've had the same damage, but but I have never found them on this plant. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether they only feed on the leaves when they're in cataphyll on this particular plant and then they disappear afterwards. It's very strange. Currently, I have not got any thrips. I haven't seen any in about 2 weeks, which is good. Hopefully I don't find any more, because as you can see, this is like a breeding ground for pests. So I have, I recently sprinkled some predatory mites, which I use quite a lot for spider mites, but they don't work as well. The ones that they have for thrips don't work as well as the ones that they have for spider mites, if that makes sense. Down here we have Majestic, or part of my Majestic plant. Let's have a little look at what's... so many leaves to dig through. Yeah, it's got some good growth points there. And right next to it, underneath this Aurea leaf and this Patricia leaf, we have a small El Choco Red. Yeah, just happily growing away there, new growth point. Love it. This used to be such a large plant that I then cut up and swapped. But it's still nice. Yeah, this Patricia, this is the leaf that made me cut up the plant. I had a large, like a big Patricia. It was probably, I don't know, like 40, 50 centimeters tall. But it just started yellowing like this, and then the thrips and everything, so I just cut it up. And I've got a few different bits, as you saw before. This is the last. I think it's just 3 pieces. Then we have a little bag with some propagations in here. This I'm a little bit cautious of. It has some... Is it this one? I can't remember which one this is. Either this one or the other one that I showed you in the corner has some varicosum in it that is potentially diseased. So I'm keeping it sealed and not opening it up inside this tent just in case. But I still want it to be warm, so I have it in here. I'm pretty confident that it's not, but you never know, so I'm just being careful. Then in this corner we have an Aglaonema pictum tricolor, which is lovely. Very nice little Aglaonema. Then in that glass with perlite growing up here is a Philodendron Sharonii San Antonio, but obviously it's not showing any mature foliage yet because it's too small and hasn't been climbing properly. And then at the back, can you see, is an Medium Zippelianum, which is lovely. And everything is supported on this bad moss pole, which is holding up my Philodendron Glorious, which finally is able to live, the wire's caught, live in like a nice environment. Look at it, and that new leaf there. The air layering that I did in a video recently is working super, super well. I will do an update video of this when I take it off and when I air layer some other things, but just, it's doing super well, so that's great. Then here we have Aurea, Monstera, not Philodendron, Monstera Aurea, the yellow variegated small form Monstera. So this isn't the large form Deliciosa, this is the slightly smaller form, but it is no less beautiful for that. I think that it started losing fenestrations because everything, well, there was less light, it was colder, shorter days, but hopefully in here the new leaves should have some more mature traits. Okay, so that's done. Moving on, we don't have much more to look at, which is nice. I thought this was going to take longer. I mean, it's already 25 minutes. Down here, yeah, I spilt something already in here. Down here we've got a Monstera Spiperu, my mother plant that I cut back really, really heavily at the start of this year to propagate and sell. And look at the size of these new leaves, they are huge. So yeah, it's coming back, starting to get smaller leaves as it vines, but I'm really, really impressed with these ones. They're just immense and really nicely variegated. Yeah, really lovely Monstera. Behind that we've got a Philodendron Gigas, I think. People have told me so many times how they think I should pronounce it. I'm just going to keep saying it wrong, probably. Philodendron Gigas. Yeah, gradually getting more mature leaves. Again, I ripped this one, but it's okay because it had thrips anyway, which are now gone. But the damage that they do is just gross. Such a shame. Then a big old Philodendron Majestic. I cut up my large plant recently, and this is the tip cutting. So still some really lovely mature growth. Another leaf down there, and you can see the new cataphyll coming through, so it should do pretty well. Yeah, little Philodendron White Knight, again another one that had thrip issues, but is bouncing back now in leca, which again I don't love. I don't know why, it's not really working for me. Oh, and there's a little varicosum through there. One of the propagations that I made recently. The rest are in my smaller grow tent. Then we've got, look at this magnificent creature. This is my Philodendron Splendid, so the yellowing again is from being too close to the grow light in the previous grow tent, don't panic. But this new leaf is just so lovely. Yeah, Philodendron Splendid, Melanochrysum verrucosum cross with the new leaf coming up there. Pushing up against the wall, so I'll probably move it. Down here in our last little corner we've got a Philodendron esmeraldens, which is super nice. Yeah, it was kind of packed to the back of my previous grow tent. Sorry about the foliar spray. So it's nice that it's got a little bit more space and light. And then there's a pseudo verrucosum or verrucosum rojo, that I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, really nice. A little Melanochrysum there, baby teeny little one that I had potted up with my Glorious but I took out. Then I've got some Scindapsus, supposedly from Borneo, no specific ID, but really nice. And we're getting to the end, a little Gigas propagation and Monstera aurea propagation with no variegation, but good variegation in the stem. Araphidophora cryptantha, and variegated Araphidophora Hayi there, which is, where's its pot? Ooh, it fell over, that's why. So I have to lift it up. Yeah, I think that's it. I might have missed something as we go around, but it's getting super hot and humid, and this light, like sitting under it for an extended period of time, is sweaty. So that is it. This is my new larger grow tent. It's going to get overrun super fast, so at some point I may upgrade again. But really, essentially, it just has to kind of tide me through until spring next year, when I can start moving stuff back out into the house without worrying too much about humidity, warmth, light, etc. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know down below. If you want to see updates on all of these plants, check out my Instagram at slugplants. I'll pop it right here. Subscribe to this channel if you want to, hit the bell icon, and I will see you very soon. Thank you so much. Goodbye.